Hi, I'm Chris Bennett, Chief Learning Officer at Blockchain Training Alliance. And I want to be the first one to thank you for joining us for our Ethereum developer course. Ethereum is an amazing platform, and this is an incredibly interesting time to be getting involved in the world of Ethereum. Ethereum has had a big part in shaping what the blockchain world looks like. Not only that, but developments right now in Ethereum, particularly the upgrade to the Ethereum 2.0 network, are also going to have large and profound impacts on what blockchain looks like in the future. You might have heard of Ethereum as being the platform that enables architects and developers to build great solutions that can include coins and tokens. Have you been reading lately about the NFT craze? Digital collectibles and non-fungible tokens? Well, then you might already know that many of those are built out on the Ethereum platform. In this course, you're going to learn all about Ethereum, how it works, the history of Ethereum, where the platform is going. And not only will you get to learn all this, you'll get to get hands-on and learn everything that it takes to build great world-class Ethereum solutions using the skills you most likely already have. We have a lot to talk about in this course. To give you a little idea of some of the subjects we'll be covering, we're going to start off in the first section recapping what blockchain is. Hopefully, you've gone through our free introductory course and you've learned about what happened 3,000 years ago on Yap Island. We'll review a lot of those basic concepts, things like decentralization and permanence, just to make sure they're fresh in your mind. In section 2, we'll talk about the history of Ethereum. How did all this start, and how exactly did we get to the point that we're at today? We'll talk about how the quest for digital money actually began way before Bitcoin, back in the 1970s. And we'll talk about how the development of Bitcoin, a platform to support digital money, eventually gave rise to Ethereum. In section 3, we'll talk about the different ways that Ethereum can be used and some of the great things you can do with it. We'll talk about Ether, the native currency on the Ethereum platform. We'll also talk about the ERC20 standard, a standard that architects and developers can use to leverage Ether technology to build their own custom coins or tokens. We'll talk about ERC 721's non-fungible tokens and collectibles. We'll talk about how they differ from traditional coins or tokens and some of the cool things you can do with them. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about smart contracts, what they are, how they work, and why Ethereum including smart contracts in a blockchain platform was such an amazing development. And finally, we'll round out that section talking about what you get when you build a blockchain solution. We'll talk about what it means to have a combination of both decentralization and permanence in your solution architectures. In section 4, we'll talk about how Ethereum works. What exactly is going on under the covers when you set up an Ethereum network? For example, we'll talk about the difference between mining and non-mining nodes. We'll talk about the various group consensus algorithms that are being used on the Ethereum platform, both proof of work and how it's filled in and served Ethereum historically, along with proof of stake, a newly developed group consensus mechanism which Ethereum is currently upgrading to. We'll spend some time talking about that Ethereum 2.0 upgrade. What exactly does it mean? Why is it so significant? And why is it significant not just for Ethereum as a platform, but really for public permissionless blockchain as a whole? We'll talk about the concept of gas, how users pay to use the network. In section 5, we'll start to see some of these components in real life. I'll walk you through an Ethereum sample application, all based around elections and voting management. We'll talk along the way about the different application layers in a typical Ethereum or blockchain application, what role they play in the application stack, and where the development process begins and what a typical development effort looks like. In the next section, we'll talk about some design considerations, other things you should keep in mind as you're starting to solution with the Ethereum platform. We'll talk about hypermedia management content protocols like storage.io or the interplanetary file system. We'll talk about blockless platforms that you can use to supplement great Ethereum solutions, platforms like IoTA with its Tangle consensus mechanism. We'll talk about some of the gotchas and traps that it's easy to fall into if you spend a lifetime developing in centralized client-server environments. Problems like deterministic concurrency. We'll talk about some security best practices, things to keep in mind, and good resources you can consult as you're designing your own great Ethereum solutions. And finally, we'll talk about public and private Ethereum network instances, and why you may not always want to run every solution you build on the public Ethereum mainnet. And then in the last half of the class, things are going to get real fun. That's where you guys are going to get hands-on in a series of custom labs that we've developed to show you all that goes into building great Ethereum applications. If you've never done any design or development work on the Ethereum platform before, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at just how simple and straightforward developing great solutions can be. So let's go ahead and jump in, shall we? And talk about what is blockchain, just as a quick recap.